friends and family, boys and girls. So here's the thing. I feel like I've moved into a place of like full transparency on this YouTube channel, right? So I know you guys saw the title of this video, and I know that you guys probably are like, what is going on? So yes, I did get laid off from my job, my previous position. My previous position, for those of you who did not know, was in pharmacovigilance. It was in drug safety. And essentially what I was doing on a day-to-day was processing adverse event cases that happened from the COVID-19 vaccine. It was from a COVID vaccine that was distributed mostly out of the country, like in the UK and in Australia and places like that. People would get the vaccine, and then if they had an adverse event, they would call the company that I worked for. You know, people would take down their information, their adverse event, everything, their background, history, whatever, and they would put it into this document, and then the document would get sent over to our team, which was the PV specialist team, that's pharmacovigilance specialist, and we would process those adverse event cases. So that was what my previous position was. After a year in the position, I will say I did get a little bit antsy. So I was not as happy with the job as I first started, which I feel like ends up being the case for most of us. But nonetheless, I ended up kind of wanting to go in a different direction, wanting to get a new position, wanting to get a new job. So I did start my search for jobs. Probably around, if it's November 2022, probably around July is when I started looking around for jobs. And you know, the market is tough. The market is tough right now. There are a lot of qualified candidates everywhere. There are a lot of people with bachelor's degrees because of the increased access to education. And the job market is just relatively tough right now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So I ended up getting laid off in September of 2022, September of this year. In the beginning, I don't think I thought that deeply into it, just because I was already looking for another position, right? I was already looking for something else. I already knew I didn't want the job anyways. And it wasn't just me that got laid off. They eliminated our entire position. So the whole position that I held, they eliminated the need for that position altogether. So we're talking about hundreds on hundreds of people who got laid off. It was about time for me to go anyways. I didn't want to spend that much more time at that job as it was. The problem with that is when the job goes bye-bye, so does the money, which is the unfortunate thing about working for somebody else. So I think I underestimated in the beginning. Now that I'm looking back on it, I think I underestimated the impact that it would have on my lifestyle. I wasn't truly thinking about what the loss of a check was gonna do to, you know, this lifestyle that I have going on. I'm still okay. I'm still, you know, fine. I'm still positive. I don't have a job as of now. It is November, today the 14th or the 13th? One of the two. I think it's the 14th, November 14th. And as of today, I do not have a job. But I'm just trying to look at it as God shifting me in another direction. So I already know God doesn't close any doors without the intent of opening another one down the road somewhere. So I know that an opportunity is going to present itself, but I think now is kind of the time for me to reevaluate what I want out of my career and really just go for that, because I do think that it is time for me to start working my way into the healthcare administration world, and I think this is about time for me to do that. If you didn't know, if you're new here, then welcome. But I am a master's in healthcare administration student, so I'm looking to go into healthcare administration, hopefully make my way up to a management role at a hospital or a clinic, and that's kind of the impact that I want to make on the patient experience, because the patient experience can only be as good as your leadership is. Because if your leadership is not providing the clinical staff with the resources to be able to do their job properly, then it's going to be difficult for even some of the best clinicians to be able to do their job to the best of their ability. And also, when you talk about healthcare policy, when we really talk about reforming our healthcare system, you know, at the core of that is healthcare administration. At the core of that is healthcare leadership and healthcare management. That is kind of the impact that I want to make on patient care and patient satisfaction, and really improving the quality of the entire patient experience. But obviously, this is the healthcare system. It's going to be very difficult to fix it all at one time, but I think that's kind of like what I want my contribution to be to that cause, is if I can take one clinic or one hospital and really cultivate a positive culture there. And I really do feel like I have done a good job. So in order for me to get there, though, I have to start by pursuing a healthcare administration role. And I think I was putting it off and putting it to the side just because I already had a job that was paying well. So throughout school, I wasn't gonna leave that job unless I had another job lined up. And especially because my previous job was remote, it just integrated very smoothly into my life. So I wasn't gonna look for a healthcare administration job when I already had something that was, you know, sufficient for the time being. But now, actually, I didn't even taste this coffee. A little more coffee. I mean, a little more sugar. But now that, you know, I kind of have closed the door to that other job, or more like they closed the door, I have the opportunity to really go for that healthcare administration role that is going to help me grow into a leadership position. And with that being said, I wanted to make a video and just kind of tell you guys what my strategy is as far as looking for a job in healthcare administration, because I know so many of us are in the same boat, whether you have a bachelor's in healthcare administration or a bachelor's in healthcare management, or, you know, you're pursuing a master's, or whatever the case may be. I know a lot of us are in the position of like, okay, to work in healthcare management or healthcare administration, you have to, most of the time, you have to have a significant amount of experience, and most of us don't have that experience. It's like, to get the job you need experience, but you need experience to get the job. It's like a double-edged sword at this point. So I just wanted to share some pointers and kind of like my strategy moving forward that I'm going to use to get a position in healthcare administration, and hopefully before the year is out I will be employed. Okay, so welcome to my guest room. I just spilled that all over me. Kind of double as, I hear you, baby. I hear you. I hear you. Are you trying to tell me you want to play? The goal for this room is for it to kind of double as my filming room, kind of like film some lounge sessions like when I'm just talking to you guys like this, and as Rico's gaming room. So whenever he wants to play the game, the goal is for him to do it in here, Lord, and not in the living room or not in the bedroom, in the guest room. So that's the plan for this room. So the first strategy that I have for myself, and that hopefully will help you guys out whenever you're searching for a job or a new entry-level position in healthcare administration, is I'm mostly targeting small clinics. I am applying to some hospitals as well, but mostly what I'm targeting is small clinics. And the reason why, because it is a more intimate setting, it's more likely that you will be able to grow your professional career there, meaning you probably will know the managers a little bit better than you would at a hospital. You probably will interact with the managers and the administrators a little bit more than you would at a huge hospital, where their office is probably all the way on the other side of the hospital, if you even know where it is. You get what I'm saying? I think it will be easier for me to shine in a setting where the manager was more easily accessible, as opposed to working at a hospital. I think in order to get noticed, I feel like you would probably have to do a little bit more seeking out than you would at a smaller clinic, just because they're not always going to be around. And don't get me wrong, I do believe it's possible. I do definitely believe that, you know, every workplace is different. So you could work at a big hospital and the manager could literally be around all the time. I think it just depends on when you work. There's pros and cons to both. I feel like hospitals will probably have more positions for you to probably move up into, as opposed to a clinic might have like a couple of positions, and then if those people that are in those positions are not in a space where they want to leave those positions, you might find yourself putting in a little bit more time before you're able to even move into one of those positions. Casting a wide net, I think, is the safest and best option. Another strategy that I'm using is applying for jobs, entry-level jobs, without regard of how much the pay is. So when I say without regard for the pay, obviously there has to be some regard for the pay, because you don't want to be doing a whole lot of work and then not being able to sustain whatever your lifestyle is at the time. That is definitely not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I am expecting to take a pay cut in order to kind of get my foot in the door with healthcare administration, just because I'm gonna be starting at the very bottom, meaning I'm probably gonna be applying for positions like office assistant, scheduler, unit secretary. They are more than likely going to be positions where I don't even need a bachelor's degree. I mean, yes, I do have one and I'm pursuing a master's, but the positions that I'm applying for are more than likely going to be positions where you only need a high school diploma or a GED. And that's because the most important thing for me to do right now is to get experience. I don't have a whole lot of direct healthcare administration experience, and I don't have any in a hospital setting at all. So what's important for me right now is getting my foot in the door and getting some experience behind my belt that I can put on my resume, so that whenever time does come for me to maybe be in consideration for a higher paying or a more impactful position, I'm ready and I have the experience kind of to back me up. You get what I'm saying? It would be nice if there were positions specifically tailored toward degree holders. That degree honestly doesn't really offer us a leg up, and I think that's what the hardest part about it is that somebody with more experience without the degree is probably going to be more likely to get hired versus, you know, us with the degrees, just because experience reigns, experience rules all. So I think that's just really sucky, or the really sucky part about it is that you kind of go through these 4 years of college and you're like, okay, this is going to prep me for my career, and then you get done with the 4 years and you spend all that money, and then it's like, okay, but then I have to go all the way back down to the bottom. So that really is the sucky part about it, I think. But regardless, I've kind of made peace with the fact that I'm going to take a pay cut, and that's okay, because I'm hoping that the pay cut will eventually work out for me on the other end. You know, if I put my work in, I put my time in, and I'll be able to move up into one of those more impactful positions. My last tip, my last piece of my strategy would be to practice patience and intentionality. Patience meaning any opportunity that is meant for me will find me. Any opportunity that I am meant to have will come to me. I have this really bad habit of expecting things to happen on my time and on my terms. And whenever they don't happen in the time frame that I want them to happen in, I kind of get discouraged, or I start to beat myself up. What I really could benefit from is just making sure that I remind myself that whatever is meant to be will be. If I'm meant to have these positions that I'm applying for, it will work out. And if it doesn't work out, then it just means that it wasn't meant for me. All I have to do is just continue to be intentional about the job applications that I am putting in and the companies that I'm applying for, meaning applying for companies that are going to promote my growth, promote my professional development, companies that are going to care about my career goals. You know, being very intentional about making sure that the company that I'm choosing is one that I actually can grow in, and making sure that I'm doing the work to help push my career forward as well. So I hope these strategies helped you guys. I hope hearing about my story and my current condition helped inspire you in some way, shape, or form. Definitely going to keep you guys updated as far as my job search goes. And if you want any specifics on my job application process, make sure that you leave a comment down below and let me know, or DM me on Instagram. Either way works. Other than that, please consider leaving my channel a thumbs up if you like this video, and look around on my channel. If you like what you see, then go ahead and subscribe and join our family. We would love to have you, okay? XOXO.